Welcome back. Got a little bit of a in my throat. I was talking. Can you imagine my land? I was talking for quite some time about plots and plans, and it was a wonderful conversation, and I had a really lovely time. Had two amazing uh, celebration events yesterday because yesterday was birthday day one, and today being birthday day two. And so I know it's annoying. I know. Oh well. And so the conversation that happened yesterday took a very interesting turn. In the middle of which I realized that I'd gone out, went out for lunch, fabulous lunch with Carol, and then I went out for dinner, and it was after I got home that I realized that I had left my phone and the charging cable at the restaurant, and by the time we got back, it was closed. So you have this moment of disorientation because you don't realize that you've become, accustomed to it being there always for you, and all of a sudden it isn't. And you say, "I'll text you." Oh no, I won't. I'll. Good. So can I get you to text me? And then even funnier, because no. Good morning, Freddie. What a great phone call we had yesterday. And so on this day following the birthday, I want to talk about something that we all do. We all do it. I am supercalifragilistically guilty of it, and we kind of ran into it yesterday. And that is, and the conversation is this: how awesome, how incredible, how not the right word even exists to describe what it feels like when someone tells us, I need you. I need you. I don't just need a warm body or a dead weight to, keep the rain from coming in. I need you. And it's like the stars come out and the angels sing, because we all live in this space where we feel increasingly less connected, less heard, seen, valued, needed. And so I'm leaning into what we're going to talk about today. And before I get there, for the newcomers who are joining us on any of the platforms, so there's all these platforms, and so now we have of course Facebook and YouTube, which have been there, my mainstays, and then I added Twitch, and then I added LinkedIn and Instagram. And so wherever it is that you're coming from, when you comment, I can see it. And sometimes the other people commenting, they all start having their own conversations, and I get to watch it. It's kind of a virtual neighbors over the fence. So for those of you just joining me, my career began before television. It began in communications. Good morning, Charles. Good morning. How are you feeling? On a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling? And and then I slipped sideways into show business, and I was doing theater, and I was producing theater and writing theater, and I was coaching actors, and then I landed a TV show, and from there came the next and the next and the next, and what's so interesting is that we get so caught up in the momentum that we forget what it felt like before we began, because you can't unknow stuff. Once you're half a dozen steps down the path, you can't go back and live in the innocence of the pre time. And we also get accustomed to this odd thing, and that is people showing up in different ways and saying, I need you. And we're so excited that they're on board. Here's the boat, here's the oar, let's do this. We, as my friend Lars is fond of saying to me in a calm and patient, long-suffering way, as Viking mentors do, you know that Vikings had to qualify to get in the boat, right? They had to show up. They had to go through the audition process. They had to prove their merit, their worth, and their commitment. And I said, well, of course. I mean, no. And so we laughed, except that when he had said it, I woke up. It didn't mean that I woke up permanently. What it meant was that I woke up to the fact that I was guilty of something. And here's what I was guilty of. When people say, 9.5, excellent, excellent. When people say, I'm so excited to be part of this, and I am so grateful that they are, I'm so excited that they're involved, I very often forget to ask why. And I don't mean why, what's wrong with you? Although what I ask them is not what it means for you, why it matters. I'm simply so glad that they're there. And I turn myself into a backwards, upside down pretzel to show my gratitude. Because I have always been very touched, very moved when someone has been grateful to me, when someone has said, this means everything, this means the world. The next sentence after that should be, needs to be, how can I repay you? What can I do to thank you? And I'm not talking about transactional. I'm not talking about I gave you 5 and you only gave me 3. That's not what I mean. What I'm saying is, when somebody says, this is so exciting, we don't give away the farm. Because if we give away the farm, there's no incentive for them to show up. They're here. I'm here, aren't I? I changed my t-shirt. It's only got a small stain on it. And you know, the knee-jerk response that I have when I hear somebody say, I'm here, aren't I? Not for long. And so good morning, Daniel, good morning. So when I was having my conversation yesterday, and I'm pitching, you know, like it's the bottom of the ninth, and we're in significant trouble. I'm pitching and trying to look nonchalant at the same time. And you know, can you, would you, does it interest you? Do you see benefit in doing this rather than doing that? And then I realized they've never thought about it that way. So we had this long conversation about what's in it for me, what's in it for you. It's never the same thing. People don't see the same things from the same perspective and rate them, value them, filter them the same way. We all have a slightly different perspective, right? And the analogy that I came up with this morning that made me laugh was something on the edge of blasphemous. So give me a second. And what I wrote down was that it's one thing to volunteer to martyr ourselves, to take a shift on the cross, while the other guy goes and catches a break. It's another thing to carry on when they're not showing up, or maybe they're just showing up late. He said he'd call. I'll call you at 5, darling. It's 7:10. Maybe something happened to him. Or maybe he just said, watch me skate. We don't need to take on the other person's burden to be a friend. We don't need to take the full weight of the other person's load in order to thank them. If we show up if we say I'm in, and they say, oh my God, I'm so grateful, it's perfectly reasonable to say, is there any chance you can do this for me while I'm doing this for you? Because I can't be in two places at once. There's every reason, logical reason, to say, what do you think? And ask point blank. And I'm, Charles, what is this? War and Peace, come away thinking, simple adventure story. Others can read the ingredients on a chewing gum wrapper and unlock the secrets of the universe. Yeah. What we're trying to do in these trying times, and they're always trying times. They're trying to be great, and they're sinking back into awkward or uphill. We're trying to achieve balance. We're trying to remember that the laws of physics apply. As far as the pendulum swings that way, it must and will swing that way, no matter how much you try to stop it. And so, in having conversations with people who say, I need you, and we say, oh, really? Oh, you then have to ask, in what way? And I don't mean to burst the joy bubble or the love bubble or the rush of connection. How do you need me? What is it that you see me part of that can change the day? Because if they then say, well, I need somebody to lift this and I need somebody to do that, and we are then left with two equal appearing paths, we can say, absolutely, let me just put down my load so that I can help you with yours. Or we can make the mistake of saying, you know what? I don't really need to do this self-care. I don't really need to take care of my load. I'm going to invest all of me in yours. And the most extraordinary thing happens when we do that. When we go all in without recognizing what their vision is, what their terms are, what their need is, we end up walking both sides of the relationship. Because if we give and give and give and give, it's human nature to take and take and take and take. Physics. And if we keep doing it and we don't stop, everybody forgets that's not the way it's supposed to work. It's supposed to be, I give, then you give, then I give, then you give, and we give together. What's in it for you is not what's in it for me. If I am going to do something that enriches you, that empowers you, how is that changing my game? How is that elevating my path? How is that nurturing and nourishing and cherishing me? What is that doing to uplift, empower, and grow me? I was at an event quite a few years ago, and I had asked one of my volunteers to take care of a task for me. And to my astonishment, everlasting, this volunteer said, no, I'm not doing that. Volunteers don't say that. They're volunteers. They come and they say, can I help? I'm not doing that. And I laughed. And she just smiled. And I said, no, it needs doing. And she said, well, then you do it. So here's somebody in my booth with a pass for the event, fairly hefty value, excited, claiming to be, agreeing to take on any responsibility that comes their way, except, oh, not right now. Right now I'm busy. I'm eating. I'm eating. And okay, let me see what this is. Just a second. Just a second, everybody. Hang on. Hello. Good morning. Hi, Maureen. I'm going to have to call you back. Thank you. Birthday wish. This person had decided that their definition of volunteer was not necessarily in sharing the load. So I stood there with my mouth in that characteristically Abby mom, and a friend of mine came over and said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Well, I need this done." And so my friend said, "Well, ask the volunteer." Yeah, she just turned me down. What? What do you mean? Here, give me that. Give me that. Clearly you did it wrong. I will go and rectify this. Good. I can't wait. And so my friend walks up and goes, "Na na 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 na," smiles, hands the thing, and the person goes, "No." and so my friend was thinking she wasn't clear. I said, no. You see, and I said, I'm watching over here and I'm seeing that, yeah. And the person goes, "Oh," and walks away. And my friend turns, holding the thing, and looks at me and goes, "What the?" And I howled. I fell over sideways. Greg is standing there, hysterical. People walking by, what's going on? They're looking around to see what the joke is, because the two of us, and then of course my friend, the three of us are just rolling. Meanwhile, the volunteer looks over at us and thinks something wrong with them. So then I said, and I walked over to the volunteer and I said, "Give me the pass back." "Why? You gave it to me. It's mine." "No, no. It is in exchange for volunteering." And she said, and then she said, "On here, aren't I?" Perfect. So whose fault is that? So when I reached out to Lars, he said, "Well, boys and girls, it's your fault." I said, "Why?" "Because you didn't find out if the Viking was prepared to row the boat." They're in the seat looking at the scenery, having a sandwich. And so when we say, and it's important for us to recognize this and focus on this, there's no percentage in blaming the other person for being true to them. There's no percentage, there's no value, there's no, "Well, that feels better," in doing anything but recognizing that we didn't make the conditions clear. First of all, to us. Secondly, to them. What's in it for me is not what's in it for them. So let's find out what they want, why they want it, why they care. Let's treat every scenario as an equation that has to balance out. If all that happens if we keep compensating is that the number gets bigger on one side, it's off balance and it's a fail. If we recognize that the equation must balance because that's the way it works, then we have to be stern with ourselves. And we have to say, probably it's not my turn to wear the hair shirt. Probably, in order for them to love me, I'm not supposed to martyr myself for their cause. I got my own cause. It's a full-time thing. What I can do, want to do, really need to do for my peace of mind, for my joy, is celebrate them so that they know clearly how much they mean to me. If each of us goes in saying more than I I honor you, I'm grateful for you, I'm so happy to be here. If it's a true relationship, that's a given. If the words are just words spoken and they're hollow and they hit the wall and actions speak louder. Say the thing and prove it. Do it. Shift the load, shift the weight, lean in with the other person, make it work as a team, as a partnership in balance. And when I was having this conversation later yesterday, and I said, I have a post-it note that I keep reposting on my various walls on the far side of the computer screen. And the note says, that I can does not mean I should. Now, sometimes the tendency is to do things because we're good at it. And no, I don't mind. No, I'm fine. I love doing this. No, sure, once in a while. But making a habit of it teaches other people they don't have to show up. And when we take on their task, their purpose, their burden, no, I'm fine. Here, no, you know what? You sit. It's still their burden. Then why are we owning it? Susan Ireland, how wonderful to see you. Hey, when you volunteer, it's a given that you do the job that needs done. I'm old school. I volunteered it. Yes, you did. Being a volunteer is in the world is the explanation. I didn't do it for a free meal. I always came away with the value. Yes, it's so great to see you. You come away with a heart full of love. Yes, because you went into it with love and you are repaid in the love. However, if the person, the people, the situation are constantly making it clear that there's a hole in the bottom of the bucket and it doesn't matter how much you fill it, it's going to want more. It's got a tapeworm in there somewhere and it keeps eating and nothing's working. That's where we have to do this very difficult thing. And I don't know if we ever had a conversation about this when we were talking all that time ago. We have to be strong enough to draw a heart-shaped line in the sand. Not a line in the sand and say, I dare you to cross this, beware these who darken my shores. No, the heart-shaped line in the sand is there to say, I love you from afar. I loved you then, I love you now. I've done what I said I would do to contribute. The outcome is not filling my cup. It seems to be just simply overfilling yours. So I'm going to love you from afar. And that way we don't walk away with the guilt and the shame and the sorrow and the loss that we have ended something. If anything, we've just put it at a distance so we can see it at a safe distance and we can wave and remember all the great times, but we don't get embroiled in it. We don't get caught up in it. We don't find ourselves having a conversation with somebody who says, oh, I thought you didn't mind. I mean, you do it, you normally do it. You never say anything. Why didn't you say something? And we are at a loss for words because we think it's obvious that we were doing it out of love, with a heart full of love, in the understanding that love is a round circle that continues and fuels itself. And in that moment, we realized that we were the only one who had that definition. And sometimes the person is blissfully unaware, not that they're taking, but so busy doing, it hasn't occurred to them that we are overgiving, that we are overdoing. And when they say, is everything all right? I thought you were going to show up. And we say, well, I kind of, it's been every day and I really need some rest because I got stuff at home. And quite often the friend will say, oh my God, for God's sake, why didn't you say something? You goof. Of course, go home. I love you. This is amazing what you've been doing. And still, we walk away feeling this kind of guilt that maybe we should have just stayed and done a little bit more because it wouldn't be that bad. But the thing is, a relationship is only balanced, only works if everybody gives in equal measure. If everybody says, I'm in, and everybody says, I'm in, and everybody says, I'm in. That's how it works. The connection, the collaboration. And so when I was having this conversation, and I said, this is the plan, and this is what's going to happen. And I said, what's in it for them when you do that? And so I got the answer, well, go back a long way, and, we brainstorm all the time, and it's a wonderful opportunity. And I just, I really want to do what I can to help. And I said, that's great. What are they doing for you? Well, they don't have to do anything for me. And no, you're prioritizing this. You're making their goal your goal. And by making their goal your goal, you have to set your goal aside. So does that mean you're giving up on your goal? Well, no. Okay, so you're just giving up on your goal temporarily? And well, no, I'm not. No, I mean, this is important to me. I mean, okay, is it your thing or is it their thing? And while you're doing what you can to help them with their thing, are they going to try and help you with your thing? No, I mean, I would never ask them to. I mean, it's exhausting. It's full time. That's why I want to step in. And I said, so you're going to give up what your dream is and become the nanny, caretaker, gardener, foot soldier for their thing. You're a volunteer army. Yeah. So how do you feed yourself as a volunteer? How do you pay the rent? How do you keep doing what you do? Well, I mean, I said, okay, don't shake your head. How do you look after you if you give everything away to look after them? And it's their thing, not your thing. I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't. I'm not suggesting that the concept isn't high value. I'm not suggesting that friendship doesn't deserve. I'm suggesting that if somebody is martyred on a cross and you say, you want to take a coffee break, I'll stand in, you need to make sure they understand that it's not forever. They don't just go off for a coffee and then forget to come back, because it's not your martyrdom, it's theirs. And we don't set the rules straight in the beginning. We don't say these are the grounds rules, these are the parameters. This is a bungalow, not a high ranch. This is a basement, not a swimming pool. Close the windows when it's raining. We assume everybody knows the rules. We assume everybody's on the same page. We assume that everybody's facing the same way. If I love you and you love me, then obviously we are seeing and feeling the same thing. No, we're not, boys and girls. No, we're not. And so it's down the line, it's too late to fix it. Because it's embarrassing. And it's and it's a lot of energy, a lot of confused, toxic, cortisol-driven energy that we didn't need to expend. And I'm not going so far as to say that good fences make good neighbors, although, by the way, they do. It's really nice to have a little flip thing that you can put half the fence down and lean on it and talk. But good fences make good neighbors. And I had the most brilliant, easy, simple, fabulous day yesterday. I had an amazing lunch, a silly, fabulous, crazy, wonderful lunch. And then I had a surprise, lovely supper and long career conversation. And it fills my heart with all the stuff because it's my favorite thing. And I got to do it on my birthday. Sidebar, forgot my phone in the restaurant. Now I have to figure out how to go get it. And so that'll be part of the task today. Why did that happen? I was so invested in the conversation, I wasn't looking after me. I wasn't looking after my phone. I'd forgotten to do that, to be the caretaker for me. I'd forgotten to prioritize my self-care. And so I now am compensating for that. And I I really, really hope, I really, really feel that the phone is sitting there saying, "Where is she?" when I go get it. That's the outcome. It's like me saying, I'm thinking really good thoughts about a parking space. When I went to have lunch with Carol, but about 4 blocks away, I'm thinking really good thoughts about a parking space exactly in front of the restaurant. And as I'm pulling up, the guy running out is a great big pickup truck. I thought, oh man, see, there's where I'd like to park. And to my everlasting astonishment, the guy leapt in the truck and drove away. And I thought, well, there we are. And as I'm pulling in, I thought, gosh, I hope that was his truck. I hope that wasn't the universe being expedient. Must move truck for Abby on birthday. Sorry. But nobody came out yelling, "Where's my truck?" So it was probably the other thing. We don't love people any less. We don't hold back anymore by saying, why does this matter to you? Do you know why it matters to you? What does it fill you with? What does it drive you? What does it bring you? What does it teach you? Is it what you'd hoped? There's nothing wrong with asking those questions. It just feels a little icky and awkward to ask those questions when the subject is us. Do you like me? It sounds really kind of weird, unless you do it in a goofy voice, and then it's still weird, but it's cute. So today, birthday month, birthday +1, the 5 questions. What does it do? Who does it serve? What does it change? Why do they care? What's in it for me? These are simple, easy, non-judgmental, clarifying questions. And that when we ask them, everybody is on the same page. Instead of saying, what's in it for you? I say, I'll start. Here's what's in it for me. The reason I'm asking this is my passion, my purpose, my focus. It means the world to me. On a scale of 1 to everything, it's everything. The reason I'm asking is because, having analyzed what you might bring, you are the missing link. The reason this matters is because the reason I care is because. And now my question is, what's in it for you? Well, because I love you. Okay, what else? And then people find it odd and crazy to have to actually define it in tangible terms. Because it's my favorite thing doesn't create clarity. We need tangible terms. I wouldn't trust other people randomly off the street to bring the precision you bring, to bring the commitment you bring, to bring the combination of efficiency and perfectionism and mischief that makes it magic. That is a hard combination to find. And there you are. And I want some of that. That's what's in it for me, is what I will say if anyone asks. What's in it for me is I get what I've dreamed, and I get to get it with you. And then they see how it works. They see how the combination comes together. And all of a sudden, there we are on the same page. So in this time of Giving Month, and we're coming up to a holiday weekend where we're celebrating sacrifice and recognition and outcome in certain parts of the world, I think it's really important to do a reset and say, am I sacrificing out of habit because it's routine? Do I automatically say, here, let me help you with that? Do I instead do I say what seems to be the problem and let them tell us what they want? I have this thing that happens. I'm so excited about a project. I'm so excited about an opportunity. And when I'm talking about it, I'm animated and I'm passionate about it. I have to check myself and say, does that make sense to you? I mean, you don't have to be the lunatic persuasion like me, but does it make sense to you? And if they say, sure, I know they're secretly dialing 911, right? If they say, what, are you kidding? Absolutely. My God, I'm all in. Are you nuts? Yes. Or door number 3. Well, I think there's a lot of merit. I'd like to hear more. And all of a sudden, we're having a conversation that allows both of us to own our decision on our own terms. Not selfless gratification and gratitude, purging our own lists in order to martyr ourselves as a way of saying thanks. That doesn't help anyone. It keeps everybody stuck. It keeps everybody in a position where they can't maintain that attitude, that focus, that momentum. How does it feel when somebody says, I need you? It feels amazing. It feels like the sun came out and the angels sang. And now what do we do? Do we say, alrighty then, let's do this? Or do we feel some kind of need to overcompensate because they said yes, because they said they need us? If we are risking ourselves to overcompensate, to be, I'll do this and I'll fetch you that and I'll take care of the other, just don't kick me out of the cave, is not a relationship. It's not a give and take. And the last thing I want anyone to do, is to give our dreams a pass, to put them on the back burner and let our moment go. Because then all we are is a hollow shell of who we were meant to be. We step into our power, into our I'm walking here, by being proud and excited and joyful and committed to our passion. And in that energy, in that mood, in that focus, we bring that energy, our excitement, our confidence, our commitment, our joy. We bring all of that to our friend, to our colleague, to their purpose. And we say, do you mind if I spread some of the joy and see if there's anything I can do? Allows us all to remain equals, allows us all to remain friends, thrilled for each other on separate paths, parallel, close, compatible. But my path is my path and yours is yours. And we can weave them together and create a beautiful tapestry. But we don't want to merge them so that our individual bright colors disappear. We want the greatness of the exponential result, not a melt down. We want a chorus. And it is really easy to forget that. My conversation yesterday was, what if we find something so exciting for you, it completely changes the way you see the world? What if we find that? And what if we take some time and figure out if there's any way that that can equally better benefit the friend? Rather than committing you to their project, can your project elevate, enable, enrich their project, and vice versa in return? And that was the long conversation. That was the long conversation that was exciting and empowering, because we're looking at fresh new ways to grow and thrive and prosper without erasing our own footsteps. So what is the hack? When I promise this and I say there is a simple win hack, and it's more than a virtual hug. It's more than checking yourself every time you automatically say, I got your back. It's better than saying, let me know what you need when you need it. It's more helpful than saying, just make a wish and give me a call, when the person standing there has no idea where their socks are or even whether they want to put them on at all. We need to step up like equals. We need to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, if I had one bucket, what would I put in it? Rather than a bucket list. Rather than saying, well, I really want to help my friend because then I'll be able to. No, you only have the one bucket. What if you only have the one bucket? So this is my simple win hack. You have one bucket for now. And when you pick up the bucket and you choose what to put in the bucket, and you have to choose to leave some out because it's only the one bucket. Once you've done that, you can now look and say, how's your bucket? Do you need any help? Bring all of who you are, all of what matters to you, to the equation, rather than erasing everything about you in order to snuggle in under and disappear. The terrible thing happens when we disappear on ourselves. Worse than hollow, we're sad. Worse than sad, we're lost. Worse than lost, we're confused. Worse than confused, we're angry. Worse than that, our heart suffers and we find no joy. And that is a terrible, terrible thing to happen. Get the bucket. Define the bucket. What is my thing? You don't know? All right. What isn't your thing? What is the last thing you would want to do for any amount of money? Perfect. That's one more thing you don't need to put in the bucket. When you list all the things you don't want, what's left in the bucket is what you do want. These are not easy choices to make when we have not developed the habit, when we have just spent our lives going along to get along, when we have been so upset at feeling lost and alone and confused and angry that we say, I'm giving up. That's it. I don't care anymore. There's the tragedy. There's the loss. Because it's not just you losing. It's everyone whose lives are enriched by you we lose that too. So the opposite side of how it feels when someone says, I need you. The opposite side of that is when our own inner voice says, you're not worthy and I don't care. That's crushing. Where does the shift come? The shift comes when we realize that that voice is a loop tape. And we've got it on autoplay. And it's drowning out everything else. We've forgotten to double check. Am I wearing pants? Okay, I can leave the house. We've forgotten to do that for ourselves. And what we end up with is the law of diminishing returns. Because we end up with less and less and less and less. And if that sounds oddly familiar, we could just look around. People alone just scrolling on their phone. People who left home to get a job and they live in a different city and they're all alone and they don't have any family and they're working so hard that they don't really make any friends. Why don't they make any friends? Why don't they take any time to do something nice for themselves? Why are they just phoning it in? Because they can't be bothered, because they're exhausted, because, by the way, they gave up caring. They forgot how it feels when someone says, I need you. And here's how I want to thank you. Here's how I want to give back. Here's how I want you to feel safe in needing me. This is the glue. This is the birthday gift. When somebody goes to the trouble to find something and they say, I saw this and I thought of you. It doesn't matter what it is. Sometimes you say, you saw this and you thought of me? What is wrong with you? But they love you. That's why they did it. And you know they love you. And all of a sudden, it's a better day. So, as we close today, I'm going to go and see if I can find a phone in a few minutes and breathe a sigh of relief. And I have so many people to reach out to who reached out to me yesterday to say birthday stuff. And it's an incredible experience to see it. It's really quite. And I always try every year to say directly, immediately, and personally, thank you. But the day got away from me yesterday. So I'm going to make up for lost time today. And I've posted and said, I'll get back to you. And those who've tried to reach out to me on my cell phone, wondering what's going on, if they checked in here or if they check on one of the platforms, and I'll say, phone is waiting for me in a restaurant. I am late. And so we will pick up where we left off. We will carry on. Oh my gosh, poor you. What a thing to happen on your birthday. I know, right? We will have that conversation. And we will get to say in a delayed way, I want you to know that I need you. I need you in my life. Who you are and what you bring is what I need in my life. And in exchange, this is how I want to enrich yours. Give, take. Does that make sense? If it's confusing, message me. And the other thing I want to tell you, I've got my long-suffering cross-eyed tech guy figuring out how to put the downloads on the website, so that what you're going to be able to do when you go to the website, when it's ready, it's actually almost ready now. You can go to abbyhaggar.com and check it out. I want the downloads for the worksheets. You can just download them as PDFs. so that you can start doing this work yourselves and you can feel a sense of accomplishment, taking a step forward, having something tangible to work with. So that's in the works. I want that. That's my goal when I end this week. When I end this birthday week, I want that to be done, because then basically the essentials are there for people to look and say, ooh, that's a lot of difference. I think I want one of those, and I want one of those, and that's really cool over there. And contact me, and there's a form, and tell me what you'd like more information on, so that we can customize what you need. We can customize the outcome you're seeking. We can make you feel that you are in the "we got this," rather than "I don't have any idea." We want to shift you from lack to luscious. We want you investing in yourself sooner than later. In birthday month, I give gifts. I explained this to a new friend the other day, and they said, "That's so sweet of you." And I said, no, no, no. I'm teaching you by example. Look, this is what a gift looks like when it's given. And then I smile helpfully. And they go, "Oh, yeah, right. So, okay, I get it." We want to be together in the boat. If I only have people rowing on one side, boat goes in circles until it throws up. I want people leaning in, because it's exciting, because it means something to them. That's the plan. And without you, it's a long, lonely, solitary row. That's why I want you with me. I want us on the journey, the adventure, the outcome together. How it feels when someone says, "I need you." How it feels when I get to say, "You came, you're here. Thank you. Best gift ever. No calories, no cavities, and it's the perfect shape and shade." So until next week, you know the drill. Be good to you. Be good to you. Don't give yourself away. Honor you. Value you. Teach other people. That's how it's done. People treat us the way we teach them to. They're looking to be taught. And remember to hug your loved ones, because they deserve it too. Is that a fair deal? Okay. This is it for now. As usual, thank you